All right, well, thank you everybody for joining us today. And please take a moment to silence your cell phones and then we'll be ready to go. So my name is Eric Clavens and, oh, sorry, you may be seated. Thank you. There you go. I was on the wrong page. Okay, now I'm on the right page. All right. So please be seated. So welcome, everybody. I'm Eric Clavens. I'm the chair of the department, and I've been a professor here for 23 years. And we're here to celebrate the incredible achievements of our graduating students. And I'd like to commend all of you on your dedication and your commitment to your studies and for persevering through all sorts of challenges. For those in the audience who might not know what electrical and computer engineering is, or ECE, actually ECE is a broad and dynamic and rapidly evolving field that encompasses a wide spectrum of technical areas related to electrical engineering and physics and computer science. ECE involves the design of devices and systems that can range greatly in scale, from nanoscale computer chips to multinational electrical power grids. The skills developed by an ECE student have a vast range of potential applications which stem from the prevalence of computers and electrical systems in everyday life. So it's no surprise that an ECE degree is one of the most challenging and rewarding degrees that one can pursue. So friends and family, you should be incredibly proud of your graduates' accomplishments and this major milestone in their life. So I'd like to take just a moment to recognize the people in the audience who have steadfastly supported and encouraged our graduates over the years. Parents, grandparents, partners, spouses, children, instructors, advisors have all played a role in supporting our students' achievements today. And I'd like all of you to know that your efforts are greatly appreciated. It's with your love and your support and sacrifice and encouragement that your student is graduating today. And so with that in mind, I'd like to recognize and applaud you. Graduates, please stand if you are able and join me in a big round of applause for your friends and your family and your mentors and anyone in the audience or here on the stage who have supported you on your academic career. Before we move on, it's my pleasure to take a moment to recognize 4 graduates in particular who have distinguished themselves through exceptional achievement and outstanding contributions to the department. So could you please stand up when I announce your names? Amber Chow is the recipient of the 2025 UW Outstanding Mentorship Award. Jared Nakahara is the recipient of the Vikram Jandiala and Suja Vidyanathan Endowed Innovation Award. Haonan Peng is the 2025 recipient of the Yang Award for Outstanding Doctoral Students. And last but not least, Shanti Garman, who is the 2026 recipient of the Yang Award for Outstanding Doctoral Student. These students have truly gone above and beyond in their academic studies, research, and service to the department. So congratulations to all of you, and thank you so much. We're incredibly proud of you and everything that you've accomplished. And it's students like you that really make this job incredibly fun to do. So thank you. Tonight we have an inspiring event for you. I want to tell you a little bit about the order of events. So our speakers will be talking about how to succeed in a challenging world that is moving forward incredibly rapidly these days. They will also speak about building self-confidence while connecting with supportive communities, as well as how to thrive in a world that is in a constant state of ambiguity and change. First, we'll hear from Jared Jordan, an outstanding UW-ECE alumnus, who has built a distinguished career leading diverse, inclusive engineering teams at some of the top technology companies in the world. And then we'll hear from two student speakers who are graduating today. Khushbu Patel, who is graduating from our professional master's program with her master's degree in electrical and computer engineering, and Catherine Femi, who is graduating with her bachelor's degree in electrical and computer engineering. And after that, we will present all of our graduates one by one, and they'll all walk across the stage, shake hands, and take a photo as they receive their diplomas. To get us started, I would like, it's my great pleasure to introduce tonight's honored guest speaker, Jared Jordan. Jared's family, right over here. Jared is a managing vice president at Capital One, a leading financial services company we all know, and he serves as head of Capital One Garage, the company's leading innovation accelerator. In his role at Capital One, he leads multidisciplinary teams across engineering and product development, advancing innovation in developer platforms, AI labs, and customer experience. His work is helping to transform how Capital One delivers smarter, technology-driven solutions to people around the world. Before joining Capital One, Jared built a notable career leading engineering teams at technology companies such as Google, YouTube, Netflix, and Microsoft. He has helped to shape AI-powered tools that changed how millions of people interact with email, led the launch of premium online channels, and has driven global engineering initiatives. Throughout his career, he has been an advocate for inclusive engineering teams that value diverse perspectives and approaches. He is involved in multicultural community initiatives and mentoring programs that support underrepresented groups in technology, shaping the next generation of technology leaders. His work represents a deep commitment to mentorship, organizational excellence, and turning bold ideas into reality. In addition to receiving his degree from UW-ECE, Jared is now pursuing a master's degree in business administration from Cornell. Widely recognized as an outstanding leader, he is also a member of our own University of Washington College of Engineering's advisory board. Please help me welcome Jared Jordan.
Good afternoon, fellow Huskies. And before I say anything else, congratulations to class of 2026. All of you have earned this. And to the parents and families out there, you all got them here. You were all instrumental in getting these graduates across the stage today. And so I want to say on behalf of them, thank you. This moment means more to me than I can put into words. I was born right here at the University of Washington Hospital. I grew up in Seattle. And I used to jump in Drummiller Hospital, Fountain, and I used to cross the Red Square countless times. And in 2006, I actually graduated from the University of Washington with a BS in electrical engineering. But there's something even more personal to me. I met my wife, and she's sitting right there still. Both of us graduated from the University of Washington. But back then, we were just two college kids, just trying to figure it out. But we fell in love, and 20 years later, she's still here right by my side. So I want to say thank you, Heather. So to be standing here 2 decades later, giving this commencement speech it like really feels surreal to me. And honestly, I never thought I'd be asked to do this, because back then I was just a young student just trying to claw my way through classes. But since then, I've been fortunate enough to ride some of the biggest waves of technology, leading engineering teams at Netflix, launching primetime channels on YouTube, and working AI and Gmail at Google. And now I run product and engineering at Capital One for the Garage, leading their innovation labs. But let me be real with you for 1 second. None of this ever felt guaranteed for me. And that's the story I want to tell you today. Because about 15 years ago, I was literally in a rut and in a hole trying to figure out how I'm going to live. Facing fear, failure, and I needed to find some resilience. But I seized that moment of exponential change. Because when I started my career, I felt like a fish out of water. I had moved to Midwest at Motorola for my first job, and I just thought working harder than everybody else was going to be enough. And I thought my performance metrics, that were near the top of everybody else, were going to be good enough. But I got some really harsh feedback on my performance reviews. And coming from a place where I was, that's how I measure myself, so it crushed me. And I thought I couldn't win. That there was nothing I did would matter, and that I would never fit into the corporate culture. So I did what most people do every day. They try to respond to that feedback. And that feedback that was given to me was my clothes were too baggy, I had a bad attitude, and I had to wait my turn to fit in. So I went out and addressed that feedback. I ran up a credit card at Macy's and got some really tight clothes. And I couldn't afford those clothes, but it tried to make me fit in. But then years later, a shift came to me when I moved to Microsoft. And for the first time, I saw senior leaders that had different styles. They carried themselves differently and spoke and acted differently. And that hit me. Belonging was never about just blending in. And now I walk around Capital One with a pair of Jordans and a baseball hat. And I feel like I belong, because the work is not about what I wear, but now it's about the outcomes that I produce. That instinct to blend in to whatever was expected came from not growing with much. My mom raised me as a single parent, and we lived paycheck to paycheck, but she gave me resilience. But it also made me hungry to always try to prove myself. And for a long time, I thought proving myself meant fitting into somebody else's mold for me. And it took failure to teach me otherwise. One of the first projects that I led was at Microsoft on the Project Kin, and I know none of you have heard of Project Kin. Internally, we were very, very proud of it, and I worked nights and weekends to enable search on this mobile device, and I helped push the project forward. But it was pulled the day of launch. The iPhone at that time and the Android phone were surging, and the Kin fell out of memory because nobody remembered it. It never even hit the shelves because reviews were so bad on Engadget and The Verge. And that internally hurt me. But that effort that we put in was real. But what everybody saw from the outside was just failure. And not long after that, I took another hit. My mentor and boss and sponsor left the company. And suddenly now I felt like I was on my own without clear direction. And so for a while, I overreacted. I started chasing that next promotion, working harder to prove myself, and try to get that sense of belonging. But then internally, something shifted in me. I stopped chasing that promotion, and I started asking questions. Which problems get me excited? How can I align what matters to me that matters to the business? And then I built a network of mentors that were 1 and 2 levels above me, who gave me the perspective and helped me decide where I needed to grow and the feedback I needed to receive. And around that time, software development started shifting. The old model of separate test engineers and developers was collapsing into a single role. One engineer would now own development, testing, and shipping that software out to production. And I wrote a proposal to my manager of how this new model could work on our teams. And that led me to lead scaling that across all of our teams. That was my first promotion. And that paved the way for the rest of my career. And it taught me the second lesson. Sometimes you have to take a risk when everybody says it can't be done. So years later during COVID, while I was at Netflix, I led this project called StreamFest. We had this crazy idea, a 48-hour streaming window with no payment attached in India. Everybody thought it was impossible. And some said it wasn't even a good idea, that it would overwhelm our servers, but we were given the freedom to try. And so our team went for it. We built in the middle of in the middle of the pandemic, across time zones and across teams, rallying around the entire company on this single mission because people were craving connection and we wanted to give it to them. So millions of people streamed for free during that 48 hours in India. And many of them became long-term paying subscribers. And that was one of my favorite memories because it was pure team building, pure problem solving. And many people doubted us, but we weren't afraid to take the risk and it paid off. So I've had many successes since, but the truth is that success never feels the way it looks on LinkedIn. What looks like a big win from the outside usually feels like a long grind on the inside. Success is almost always the accumulation of unglamorous, constant small acts. Showing up, asking questions, building trust with your peers and your team, and learning alongside the next person. And now I have 3 kids. Jared Jr., who will be entering UW in September. Go Dogs. Justin, 15, the heart of our family. And Joy, my little daughter, the soul. Come on, baby. They're in the crowd today. Now they're shrinking a little bit. But they remind me every day that what I build at work matters, but what I build at home matters even more. And so I want to tell them I love you 3. And that brings me to this moment. We're living through an exponential shift. AI is reshaping how we live, how we work, and how we create. Bill Gates said, "We always overestimate the change that will occur in the next 2 years, and we underestimate the change that will occur in the next 10 years." That's exactly where we are with AI. The 2-year predictions already feel overwhelming. The 10-year horizon is almost unimaginable. But here's what I want you to remember. Exponential change doesn't erase the fear of failure. It magnifies it. And how you respond will define each and every one of your impact. Maya Angelou said, "You may encounter defeats, but you must not be defeated." In fact, it may be necessary to encounter these defeats so you can know who you are, what you can rise from, and how you can come out of it. That's the mindset that I want you to carry in this new era. Failure can reforge you and strengthen you for moments like this. So how do you see this moment? If I were sitting in that chair today, this is what I would want to hear. 1, don't wait for permission. This moment rewards reaction. If you see a problem, solve it. If you have an idea, prototype it. Don't wait for somebody to hand you the blueprint. 2, be curious and courageous. Curiosity opens the door, but courage gets you through it. Don't just study from the surface, dig deeper. And when fear creeps in, push through it. 3, fail forward. You will get things wrong, and that's guaranteed. The key is to learn fast, adapt, and keep moving. And lastly, number 4, invest in your network. Technology matters, but relationships matter more. Mentors, peer, and the community that's sitting around you today, that's where your real strength is. The future gets built by teams, not lonely geniuses. 20 years ago today, I sat where you're sitting, wondering if I was ready, questioning whether I had learned enough, unsure what my future looked like. But now I'm back, 2 decades later, with some gray in my beard, to tell you, you all are ready. Your path won't be straight, and you will face setbacks, and you will wrestle with doubt. But the same way that my story prepared me, from being raised by a single mom, to failing on projects like Kin, to believing my team that we could build Streamfest, your story will prepare you. This is your exponential moment. Seize it while others will stand still. The biggest breakthroughs come from the risk you take when nobody else is willing to try. And now it's your turn. I want you to ride this wave. Go Dogs, and God bless. Yeah, they're gonna let me on stage. Probably never again. Hi, Mom.
Thank you, Jared, for sharing your thoughts with us today. It was incredibly inspiring. Now I would like to introduce Professor Josh Smith. He is the Milton and Delia Zuchel Professor in Entrepreneurial Excellence in UW-ECE and in the Allen School. He is also our Associate Chair for Professional Programs. Josh coordinates our Professional Master's Program known as PMP, and he will be introducing our first student speaker who is graduating from the PMP program. Josh.
Thank you. Thank you, Eric. It is my pleasure to welcome Khushbu Patel to the stage. Khushbu will be receiving her master's degree tonight and is representing our graduate students. Khushbu is graduating from our professional master's program. While in the PMP, she works full-time as an engineering leader at Gravitics, an aerospace startup. At Gravitics, Khushbu leads multidisciplinary teams developing space station technologies and avionics systems. Prior to Gravitics, she worked across the space industry at companies such as Virgin Orbit and Relativity Space, focusing on high-fidelity test systems, vehicle software, launch vehicle avionics, and critical life support technologies. Her passion for space began at an early age, leading her to an internship at NASA Johnson Space Center and to study aerospace engineering and computational sciences at the University of Texas at Austin, where she got her bachelor's degree. Khushbu is also passionate about mentorship. At the UW, she has mentored engineering students with a focus on encouraging young women in STEM through programs such as UW-ECE's Industry Mentorship Program, Wired for Success, and FIRST Robotics. In her speech tonight, Khushbu will be talking about how to thrive in ambiguity and changing environments, as well as the importance of sharing your journey with others. Please help me to welcome Khushbu Patel.
Thank you, Professor Smith, for the warm introduction. Good evening, faculty, friends, family, and most importantly, class of 2026. Before I begin, I'd like to thank my fiance, my growing family, and my friends for their unwavering support. I'd also like to thank my professors, as well as the students and peers I've also had the privilege of learning alongside. To those mentees who are graduating with me today, it's been an honor watching you grow. Mom, Dad, and Sissy, I love you so much, and I would not be standing here without you. And above all, thank you, God. As we celebrate this milestone, I like us to do something a little unusual. For just a moment, close your eyes and take a deep breath. Think back to your younger self. Who did you dream of becoming? Now walk through that journey, but keep your eyes closed. Remember your early accomplishments, the test you aced, the first medal you earned, the acceptance letter that made you feel like you were capable of something more. Recall your first setback, the mistake, the rejection, the loss, the moment you questioned whether you could make it through. Think about the late nights studying and the challenges that tested you, and for our graduate students, the research that refused to cooperate before finally yielding that breakthrough. Think about the people that have helped you along the way. Now open your eyes and look around you. Every person here has traveled a different path, yet we've all arrived at this moment together. And before we focus on what's next, let's take a moment to appreciate how far we've already come. Because if there's one thing our journey has taught us, it's this: life does not come with a clear roadmap. The most meaningful opportunities often arrive before we feel ready, but that's not something to fear, because growth is earned through experience, not certainty. Experience teaches us resilience, adaptability, perspective, lessons that cannot be taught in a classroom or found in a textbook. And I learned that from two very different journeys: my parents' journey across the oceans and my own journey across the state lines. Like many of you, I come from a family of immigrants. My parents left Gujarat, India, with little more than a suitcase, $20 in their pocket, and a belief that a better future was possible. They didn't know what awaited them on the other side. No roadmap, just faith. Faith that through hard work and perseverance, they would build a better future for their children. My father built community through food, culture, and connection to India for many families in Houston. My mother pursued her dream career in healthcare, and next year will be celebrating 30 years in servicing others. Their journey inspired my younger sister to become the first doctor in our family, and their courage gave me the confidence to go pursue my own path. Growing up, they taught us one simple lesson: trust your progress, work hard, and keep moving forward. Or as my family likes to say, "Potani mehnat par eklo vishwas rakho कि एक दिवस किस्मत पण तुम्हारी सामने हारी जाए." Have so much faith in your hard work that one day even destiny surrenders to you. Looking back, I realized it's the same lesson we've learned as engineers. When facing a difficult problem, return to your first principles. Start with what we know and build from there. For me, those first principles are my faith in God, hard work, curiosity, kindness, and service to others. They've guided me ever since I was a 5-year-old kid who watched Barney the purple dinosaur go to the moon and decided I wanted to be one too. I built glitter and glue solar system models. I watched NASA rocket launches. I read every space book I could get my hands on. But dreams rarely come with instructions. At 5 years old, becoming an astronaut seemed pretty simple, but at 22, that seemed a lot more complicated. During my senior year at the University of Texas at Austin, I found myself facing one of those moments. Do I continue in academia or do I enter the workforce? I chose the workforce. That decision took me from Texas, my home, to California. I arrived knowing almost no one, just a new opportunity with heaps of uncertainty. And if I'm being honest, it absolutely terrified me. Like many of us, I thought confidence had to come before action. I mistook being new for not being capable. I fell into analysis paralysis because I wanted complete certainty before taking action. because that's what school had taught me to do. Solve the problem, show your work, and turn in the correct answer. But life doesn't work that way. Life gives us the assignment before we know how to solve it. I learned that confidence isn't something we begin, it's something we build by beginning, by asking questions, making mistakes, learning from others, taking that next step, especially when the path isn't clear. But growth doesn't happen alone. As the eldest daughter, asking for help did not come naturally to me. For a long time, I thought asking for help was a sign of weakness, but I was wrong. Growth happens through mentors who guide us, friends who support us, colleagues who challenge us, and communities that lift us up. As I began mentoring students myself, I noticed a familiar pattern. Many were asking the same questions I once asked, whether they were on the right path. Today, with AI reshaping industries and the job market, I hear one question more than ever. Is engineering still worth it? And my answer is yes, but not because the future is certain, but because it isn't. They're the ones who remain, the people who thrive aren't the ones who have all the answers. They're the ones who remain curious, adaptable, and willing to keep learning. So, if there's something that you find that excites you, challenges you, and helps you grow, invest in it. Because the world will continue to change, but the ability to solve problems, think critically, and keep learning will always matter. But eventually, success becomes more than just about your own career. It's about the impact you have on others. And the greatest lesson my parents have taught me is what to do once you found your way forward. You help someone else find theirs. I'd like to share one last engineering lesson. Many of us have learned Ohm's law, voltage equals current times resistance. Life will add resistance, setbacks, rejections, unexpected detours. But as long as we keep generating potential through hope, purpose, determination, and self-belief, the current keeps flowing. And more often than not, we discover we're capable of more than we thought. So think back to the person you pictured at the beginning of the speech. That younger version of you would be so proud of you, what you've achieved. So tonight, celebrate your wins and appreciate how much you've overcome. Growth is earned through experience, not certainty. So don't be afraid of ambiguity. Don't wait for the roadmap. Trust yourself to figure things out along the way. Lift others as you climb and leave your mark on the world, because the possibilities are endless and you are boundless. Congratulations, class of 2026.
Thank you. That's the first Ohm's Law analogy in a graduation speech I've ever heard. That was great. I'm going to look at Ohm's Law completely different from now on. Okay, so now I would like to introduce Associate Teaching Professor and Undergraduate Program Coordinator Mahmoud Hamid. I knew that was going to happen. Mahmoud will be introducing our second student speaker tonight.
Thank you, Eric. It's my pleasure to welcome Catherine Femi to the stage. Catherine is graduating with her bachelor's degree in ECE. She is representing our undergraduate students tonight. Catherine focused her coursework and internships on control systems and hardware. Her senior capstone project, done in partnership with General Dynamics, was focused in designing and building a 3D drone simulator in MATLAB using control systems concepts. She has completed 2 internships with Boeing and she plans to continue her career in Boeing's flight test sector, working on sensors and signal conditioning while pursuing a dual master's degree focused on electrical engineering and engineering leadership. At the UW, Catherine served in the university's chapter of the Society of Women Engineers as the Vice President of Corporate Relations. In this role, she mentored fellow students and helped to connect aspiring engineers with industry professionals. In her speech tonight, Catherine will be talking about the importance of building self-confidence in community support systems while pursuing rigorous, challenging goals. Please help me to welcome Catherine Fahmy.
Jared and Eric told me to take a selfie with you.
Okay.
We're gonna get a selfie. Yeah. This works. Sweet, thank you. Thank you. Jared and Professor Clavins told me to take a selfie before I started, so had to do that. Good evening, faculty, family, friends, and the UW Electrical and Computer Engineering class of 2026. First, I would like to thank Professor Hamid for the kind introduction. I would also like to thank everyone who is here celebrating with us today. Your encouragement, patience, and belief in us helped make this moment possible. And most importantly, to my fellow graduates, congratulations. As we celebrate today, I think it's important to acknowledge something that doesn't appear anywhere on our transcripts. When people look at an engineering graduate, they see the finished product, the degree, and the accomplishments. What they don't see are the countless moments when many of us questioned whether we would ever make it here. The all-nighters, the endless energy drinks and coffees, the many missed alarms, and the times that some of us were caught snoozing in class, or playing chess, or the National Geographic videos that I saw a few times. What does not show up on the transcript are the hangouts we skipped and the sacrifices we made to prioritize getting to this very moment. The hours spent staring at codes, circuits, and homework assignments that seemed like they were laughing at us while we were scratching our heads. And of course, the notorious terrifying stories of those 271 labs. We learned the hard way that they were not exaggerating, but hey, we did it. We're here. And then eventually came the announcement none of us were prepared for. ChatGPT will be allowed during the exam. At that exact moment, every student had the same realization: we're done, we're cooked, that's it. But underneath all of those shared experiences is something much more important. For many of us, the hardest part of ECE was never one specific class. It was ourselves. To be perfectly transparent, I struggled academically, battled imposter syndrome, and constantly questioned whether I truly belonged. I remember sitting in my room late at night near the end of my sophomore year, staring at this low exam score and wondering if I had made a mistake choosing engineering. I share that openly because too often in engineering, we feel pressure to appear perfect. Surrounded by incredibly capable peers, it can seem like everyone else has everything figured out, but I have learned that that is rarely the reality. One of the most important lessons I learned here came from a professor who told us, fail better, fail fast, fail as much as possible. I remember many of us looking around at each other like, what did he just say? Fail as much as possible? At first, it sounded counterintuitive, but over time I realized what it meant. Failure is inevitable in engineering and in life. What matters is not avoiding it, but learning from it and continuing forward. Beyond the circuits, signals, and systems, ECE taught us how to think critically, solve complex problems, and persist until we find a solution. It taught us resilience. But there's another lesson hidden inside the idea of resilience. Over time, I realized that resilience isn't just about getting back up after failure. It's about believing that you can. One of the most important lessons I learned in ECE is that the narrative that we tell ourselves really, really matters. If you spend enough time convincing yourself that you're going to fail, eventually you start acting like it. You hesitate to take opportunities, and you avoid challenges because you've already decided that your destiny is failure. Throughout our lives, there will be people who believe in us, family, partner, friends, mentors, and so many more. But eventually, there comes a point where none of that matters if we refuse to believe in ourselves. Other people can support us, guide us, and even open doors for us, but we have to trust our own ability to grow and overcome whatever challenge is right in front of us. Looking around this room, I don't see people who had all the answers. I see people who kept going when they didn't. Every person sitting here today has overcome challenges that once felt impossible. The fact that we are here is proof of that. And I think this ties directly into something that many of us know very well: imposter syndrome. For a long time, I assumed that it would disappear after college. But after speaking with professionals, executives, researchers, and some of our very own professors, I learned that it does not disappear after today. The challenges just take on a new form. There will always be a new responsibility or opportunity that makes us feel like we don't belong. Being chosen to speak today was just one of my examples. But what changes is not the feeling itself, it's how we respond to it. One guest speaker in my engineering leadership course this year said something that stayed with me. If you never feel uncomfortable, you're probably not growing. The more I reflect on that, the more I realize how true it is. Some of the best opportunities in our lives happen when we don't feel completely ready. Fortunately, ECE has given us years of practice doing just that. We learned how to walk into difficult situations, admit when we have no idea what's going on, ask questions, and keep moving forward. But at the same time, none of us got here alone. One of the greatest gifts from this program has been the people that we've shared it with. The study groups, the lab partners, the classmates, professors, friends, and family members who helped us through the most difficult moments often made all the difference. As we leave UW and begin the next chapters of our lives, I hope we remember the importance of those support systems. Many of us are leaving environments that have become familiar and are stepping into entirely new ones. It can be so tempting to isolate ourselves when things become difficult. But some of the strongest people I know confidently ask for help, and that shows so much bravery. The people around us are not signs of weakness. They are often one of the greatest reasons that we succeed. So whatever comes next, I hope we continue to believe in ourselves, continue to embrace the discomfort that comes from growth, and continue to lean on the people who care about us. Graduation marks the completion of one of the most rigorous chapters of our lives. Electrical and computer engineering is widely recognized as one of the hardest degrees to earn. And yet, every one of us sitting in this room made it through. No matter where we go next, whether it is industry, graduate school, research, or an entirely different path, we carry the lessons from our time at UW with us. I have learned that we are not engineers because we have all the answers. We are engineers because when things became difficult, overwhelming, or uncertain, we do not quit. As we look ahead, I encourage you to stay curious, stay determined, and always, always keep looking for the solution. As I wrap up, I want to dedicate this closing portion to the people who got me here. First and foremost, I want to thank the Lord for being my Savior, for giving me peace in place of anxiety, and the confidence that His promises for my calling will be fulfilled. All the glory to God. I want to thank my mama and baba for their endless sacrifices that have allowed me to become the strong Arab woman that I am today. Your love never went unnoticed, and I can only wish to be half the person that both of you are. I want to thank my big brother for being my backbone and quite literally my loudest cheerleader. I want to thank my fiance for believing in me through every hurdle and failure and for his unconditional love. And to his family that I now call my own, thank you for your support. To my jiddo, my grandpa, Shams Hayati, the sunshine in my life. Shukran ala muhabbatak wa innak wa'if haddi. Thank you for your love and for standing by me. These people are my rocks and are the only reason that I'm here today, so they deserve every bit of recognition. And to everyone who has supported a graduate along the way, thank you. This achievement belongs to you as well. And finally, one last big congratulations to the class of 2026. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Catherine. So now we move on to the presentation of our graduates. As we recognize each student today, we ask that the friends and the family of the graduates remain in their seats, and graduates make sure to stop at the end of the stage where there's a black square and there will be a photographer who will take your photo. Thank you so much for your cooperation. I'm also happy to introduce the people who will be reading the names of our graduates. Assistant Professors Akshay Gadre, Sep Maksus, Iwe Lu, and Max Parsons. They together will announce all the names of our graduates as they come up on stage. We're going to start with the conferral of doctoral degrees. The Doctor of Philosophy is the highest degree granted by our department at the university. It not only affirms a mastery of a specialty area, but it also demonstrates the successful completion of independent research that makes a huge difference. We are extremely proud of our PhD graduates. They represent the next generation of professors, industrial research leaders, and entrepreneurs. Whatever path they choose, I am sure they will do amazing things. We take a moment to celebrate their accomplishments, congratulate them, and thank the friends and family who have supported them. Okay, so you guys ready? Yep. All right, so we're now going to announce all of the 2026 PhD awardees, and what you'll do is you'll come on stage. There's a special chair. You'll sit on the chair, your PhD advisor will hood you, and then shake hands and do all the stuff. You'll shake my hand, you'll shake Jared's hand, take a photo, okay? Soak it up, this is your moment. Got it? All right, let's get started.
Do you want to start or do you want me to start? You go first.
Ying Jin, hooded by Professor Zheng Nen Huang.
Xiong Wei Hong, hooded by Professor Jeneng Huang.
Zheng Yan Chris Yang, hooded by Professor Zheng Nen Huang.
Haonan Peng, hooded by Professor Blake Hannaford.
Amber Xiaoyang Cho, hooded by Professor Sam Burden.
Adhyayan Narang, hooded by Professor Mariam Fazil.
Dai Cheong Zheng, hooded by Professor Michael Taylor.
Yu Guang Li, hooded by Professor Linda Shapiro and Alex Coburn.
Caleb Zheng, hooded by Professor Ellie Schliesserman.
Xiang Jinlin, hooded by Professor Ellie Schliezerman.
Trong Lei, hooded by Ellie Schliesserman.
Neha Kardam, hooded by Professor Denise Wilson.
Qi Xuan Lin, hooded by Professor Mo Li.
Rose Johnson, hooded by Professor Arka Majumdar.
Benjamin Davis, hooded by Professor Jim Hermanson and John Ridey.
Girish Narayan Swami, hooded by Professor Shwetak Patel.
Sean T. Garman, hooded by Professor Josh Smith.
Jared Nakahara, hooded by Professor Josh Smith.
Jia Yi Li, hooded by Professor Bao Sen Zhang.
Traeger Joswick Jones, hooded by Professor Baosen Zhang.
Or you're going to do that? Okay.
Okay, we will now begin the conferral of master's degrees. Each of the master's degrees we are about to award represents years of work and study, financial sacrifice, and time away from family. It is through hard work and perseverance that you achieved your degree tonight. We will now award the 2026 candidates the MSEE degree.
Khushbu Patel.
Lamak Jahad Robinson.
Dorothy Bui,
Ritish Tariva,
Yoon Tung Chu,
Sebastian Gabriel,
Antara Banerjee,
Daniel Sabu,
Timofey Popov,
Jesse Castleberry,
Victor Marcinek,
Amani Christopher,
Quinn Thompson,
Chen Kai Kevin Kuo,
Quan Yun Huang,
Shu Yi Wang,
Ru Hao Liu,
Anya Guiton,
Tejas Gulur,
Jonathan Doe,
Hassan Al Jawad,
Sorish Racium,
Arko Bonik,
Van Tak B. Leon,
Praveen Kumar Selva Kumar,
Eugene Liu,
Jaita Datta,
Catherine Berge,
Terence Sin,
Karen Siana Vionshi Walter,
Liam Bakar,
Paloma Dateloff,
Joy Hein Kim,
Jingyu Zhang,
Ishika Krishnan Kanakat,
Navia Mangipodi,
Poojan Patel,
Nalida Romo Tehirena,
Zhengyu Jin,
季晨风、
Jie Yao,
央丽、
Xiaoyi Zhou,
朴元度、
Letao Han,
辛元林、
Kun Yang,
Casey Morrison、
Tyler Roth,
Brian Gonzalez、
Zetian Yang,
Daniel Yang、
Aishwarya Churrakuzil,
Yvonne Coulson、
Andrew Nguyen,
开头岩、
N.B. Cha, Baurjan Zandullah,
Dylan Scott、
Yushuen Mayo,
西哲浩、
Ankit Roshan Talluri,
Pavansai Gupta、
Vidya Datta Reddy Mehta,
Abhishek Kumar、
Advait Dr,
Rutuya Mandamavi、
Kaustubh Lad,
，Korai Manteshulu、
UHN Goa,
智浩成、
Chingshin Zhao,
春李林、
E. Gu,
浩航里、
Mingzuo Ma,
Nicholas Rich、
Julian Eubanks.
Alessandra Williams.
William Bay.
Ko Yi Jiang.
Chung Chi Lee.
Yu Jiehan.
Wenjun Fan.
Will Larson.
Yuanjun Chai.
Ye Hengxu.
Najib Haider.
Urvashi Rameshwar Taki.
Lakshman Balamurugan.
Aaron Biju.
Manav Rajiv Murthy.
Zhuoran Wu.
Eric Shu.
Daniel Shi.
Jixiang Shu.
Shu Yulin.
Shihan Lin.
Yixuan Lai.
Yu Cheng Chen.
Xiao Tixu.
Yu Rong Yen.
Sai Yi Lian.
Sakar Shakya.
Chen Yanguo.
Matthew G. Medina.
Yi Rulin.
Myung-Hoo Lee.
Zijun Cui.
Jared Doran.
Kishan Savan Warren.
Jian Luo.
Sanjawan Geese.
Priya Bharati Arul.
辛雷树、
Zhao Junyi,
威力、
Siru Jung,
瑞琴、
Hongyuan Liu,
辛宇成、
All right, undergraduates, you ready to do this? All right. We will now begin the conferral of bachelor's degrees. These students have overcome countless challenges and are standing here today as the next generation of problem solvers and key team members. To our students, no matter which path you choose, I believe each of you will have a positive impact on the world. Now let's recognize the outstanding 2026 bachelor's degree graduates.
Catherine Fahmy.
Zohara Spector.
Amita Prabhala.
Eden Salos.
Ashley Tran.
Christy Lee.
Ronald Doan.
Kea Joy.
Julie Alder.
Janelle Ng.
Matthew Kalim.
Anders Choi.
Neil Kazi.
Brooke Wood.
Brandon Miller.
Baki Ifsoy.
Ali Meli Boyun.
Easton Anderson.
Elliot Norman.
Chinmay Murthy.
Scarlett Streitman.
Hui Yin Chow.
Julia Kim Dang.
Justin Uhyuk Jang.
Joshua Rehan.
Herminio Cabilla Ruiz.
Kylie Neal.
Maya Desai.
Declan Newell.
Luke Miller.
Nicholas Leong.
Stephen Wang Gong.
Jimmy Chen.
Nathan Marburg.
Evan Johnson.
Abraham William Montefalcon Cosico.
Fergus Shu.
Vittorio Atienza.
Laura Loris Oliveira.
Reshmi Nilus.
Lena Antran.
Ben Kaplan.
Ben Barzik.
Alec Helgeson.
Nathan Vitzthum.
Cole Bonds.
Xander Gerkink.
Nicholas Faulkner.
Patrick Wolf.
Samuel Zeng.
Kylie Iwasaki.
Luke Ferguson.
Trevor Lane.
Andal Schreeder.
Yimena Guzman.
Janelle Chu.
Ashton Gravis.
Leo Lin.
Rohan Sriram.
Pravir Gusari.
Ronit Dasgupta.
Akshath Rao.
Shreyas Krishnan.
Joe Prince Muthuplakal.
Olivia Kadeen.
Rachel Walland.
Anna Petrabokova.
Thomas Tusty.
Brian Kim.
Jose Hao Rivero.
Tiara Gupta.
Asim Gari.
Ethan Lee.
Dhruv Naik.
Atharv Dixit.
Michael Yu.
Neha Krishnakumar.
Noah Sanchez.
Max Lan.
Brandon Chang.
Kylie Orth.
Bobby Time.
Mengche Jeffrey Wen.
Tugaldor Baturdin.
Arthur Kim.
Ian Pan.
Wang Yixiang.
Luoqi Li.
Ijua Miao.
Yicheng Jia.
Yuming Chen.
Jack Burberry.
Koji Ishihara.
Grant Miller.
Reagan Sidney Peterson.
William Bollock.
Raymond Chen.
Amog Bantwal.
Nithya Subramaniam.
Aditi Manjunath.
Leopold Kwali.
Seth Musino.
Robert Flores.
Connor Roan.
Rishabh Mohan.
Muyang Liu.
Danyang Wang.
Xi Lai.
Ankit Tunukuntla.
Urjit Chowdhury.
Akash Sridharan Nambudiri.
Isabel Kota.
Anushka Mishra.
Joydeep Saha.
Siraj Rizvi.
Muhammad Rahman.
Kai Feller.
Kana Suda.
Will Zhang.
Takanori Futagi.
Adrian Shuck.
John Luis Adolfo.
Reynal Aladdin Pasuka Kariaga.
Aaron Wen.
Noel Whitner.
Tangus Batbold.
Danny Nguyen.
Tausif Ahmed.
Rampranav Navendran.
Chifeng Yang.
Lai Jiang.
Jiwei Zheng.
Arpin Kapoor.
Garrett Higgins.
Nels Martin.
William Henry.
Daikun Wu.
Sam Decker.
Edward Dong.
Idika Kontu.
Sam Mansouri.
Sean Bubernak.
Ryan Farhat.
Grace Leo.
Mia Kim.
Ruby Lee.
Fair Long.
Jason Leo.
Ayush Kulkarni.
Ashvat Premkumar.
Miraj Naki.
Juwon Jun.
Colby Chan.
Varun Shinte.
Ishani Shilumkar.
Kuhu Nain.
Rania Sandramurthy.
Priyanka Senapati.
Tanya Prihar.
Nishchal Shukla.
Osman Brown.
Rory McAndrew.
Donale Ramoes Nova.
Yusuf Dina.
Ria Ers.
Lauren Carrillo.
Vibhaksheya Satish Kumar.
James Damas.
Carson Lard.
Owen Wilhere.
Noah Beckford.
Rukia Aden.
Gianna Donahue.
Manum Zahir.
Ashika Palacharla.
Sarah Christopher.
Keith To.
Dean Watson.
Dalton Brockett.
Jason Hart.
Benjamin Horton.
An Win.
Alexander Vu.
Jared Shane.
Dominic Mayerchin.
Nate Snyder.
Eugene Horikim.
Jiyoon Jinsung Chung.
Hanlin Ma.
Woo Hong Rei.
Soham Bihari.
Kate Tsen.
Nikhil Devisetti.
Ryan Lee.
Hayden Rondo.
Chioma Yu.
Kevin Tijo.
Melvin Chia.
George Evans.
Nixon Sarjono.
Mohammad Rasha Fawaz.
Satchel Sheikh.
Griffith Gomblin.
Wenhao Lin.
Eno Fan.
Yutao Huang.
Matthew Kohakua.
Thomas Edward Glass.
Christoph Gunheller.
Peter Golden.
Reese Zusi.
Amanda Zhang.
Jamie Chang.
Harshil Sharma.
Mason Hiromoto.
Sai Krishna Papuru.
Arman Sayed.
Rohan Sabaya.
Pranav Venugolapalan.
Jonathan Levinti.
Kinwak Un.
Joseph Sang.
Damien Huang.
Carter Lee.
Derek De La Cruz.
Eric Cho.
Langley Fu.
Albert Ton.
Tyler Brown.
Taylor Yee.
Aiden Frondozo.
Jonah Gray.
Kume Matsusatori.
Momoka Sakamoto.
Kelly Wang.
Sparsh Dadhich.
Mihir Sharma.
Arjun Vaish.
June Lee.
Pedley Jiaxin Huang.
Jenny Ko.
Sean Yin.
Maria Porques Felix.
Audrey McCornack.
Panda Pansawangkung.
Yuxuan He.
Wanje Deng.
Teo Chang.
Zev Alvidrez.
Joseph Lee.
Minjae Dang.
Caden Matson.
Benjamin Ingalls.
Emma Wilson.
Arnav Mohan.
Jonathan Urban.
Nathan Patel.
Dylan Shada.
Manish Saigotti.
Anders Pearson.
Noah Monson.
Asaf Iron Jobs.
Sam Krostov.
Aaron Kwong.
Austin Womack.
Mia Yuka Connor.
Before we conclude, I would like to thank all of the staff who have put this together. They're up there, they're leading people around, they're handing out gifts, they're taking photos. It's a huge amount of work to put on one of these graduation ceremonies. They do it every year, and we appreciate them greatly for it. Okay, graduates, it's the big moment. It's time for the traditional turning of the tassel for undergraduate students. So your graduation cap tassel is a symbol of success, signifying that you have earned the right to graduate. Moving the tassel to the left after graduating is a symbolic crossing over from one stage of life to another. So it's come time to move that tassel. Together, please move your graduation cap tassel from the right to the left. Okay, so graduates, please meet your family and friends on the concourse level once you've exited the ceremony through the center aisle. And if you checked a bag, don't forget to pick it up. We're incredibly proud of our ECE graduates. We will be your champions for years to come. You're always a Husky, and you're always welcome back here anytime. Thank you all for celebrating this incredible milestone with us tonight, and have a wonderful evening, and congratulations again to the Department of Electrical and Computer Engineering class of 2026.